All right, thank you. Welcome to the both of you. I think let's just have a conversation about what you're talking about. And I think the first question for each of you is, what exactly happens in a constitutional convention? We haven't had one in a very long while. I think a lot of the people listening or watching may be going, what are they talking about? This is the 250th anniversary of the country. What does this have to do with that? Well, I'll go on, but.
Great question. So there's the U.S. national federal government. They have a constitution for the United States. That's what most people know about. But every state, every individual state also has a constitution. It's the legal landscape. It's the rule book for how the government operates. And this is a question that is asked every 16 years automatically of voters. Do you want to scrap the old Constitution and start fresh? And if that were to happen, districts would be created, and essentially kind of a shadow legislature would be created, and they would write a new Constitution and put it before voters for ratification. It is a dramatic and expansive change to literally every aspect of the legal landscape in our state. So this isn't just any old ballot question. This is one that could have an impact on literally every single aspect of life.
So where do you stand on this?
Vote no. We are definitely a big no on this. And it could really harm our students, it could harm our communities. I mean, we're sitting here trying to engage in life, and we do need rules. It's a playbook, so it's better to tweak something, and that's what we do by passing laws than just to throw the whole thing out. So we are definitely vote no on Prop 1.
And same thing for the Small Business Association of Michigan. Small businesses and employers need to know what the landscape is in order for them to make investments, to expand, to create jobs. They're taking huge risks. And if all the rules are going to change in a couple of years, then they would have to put all that on hold, wait and see what the future is going to be. So I think that the idea of a constitutional convention at this time would put so much uncertainty into just the way that the world and the state works that it would harm our jobs, it would harm our small businesses, it would harm the economic environment that our families would have to deal with. So would strongly encourage a no vote.
So let's go down that road for each of you a little bit. I'll start with you, Brian. What is your biggest fear if this were to pass?
If it were to pass today, if you were to think about, actually just kind of imagine you got the legislature, you've got Congress, you got this whole political system. That system would be charged with drafting a brand new constitution. That system is broken right now. There's so much gridlock, there's so much partisanship, there's so much that is in the way of progress happening. And so to take this system that seems to be able to, or seems to struggle just to do the normal average things that have to get done, to say, oh, by the way, why don't you write a new constitution at the same time? This would be a terrible idea.
Chandra, what's your biggest fear if this were to pass?
Not to simplify it too much, but it would just be complete chaos and mayhem. I mean, even in a good time where people can work together and collaborate and discuss and agree on issues, that would be one thing, very difficult. But we're not in that time at all in our society. And so Brian was just talking about just the way that we have gridlock. I think it would be past gridlock. It could be just outright, and I don't want to use the word war literally, but people would not be able to agree. And so our students would be harmed, our communities would be harmed. I mean, everything would almost stop in time, and I don't even think we could agree on the foundation of how it even would look.
So one of the things we've been talking about this afternoon is about this idea of bipartisanship, working together to get things done. Is that playing a role in what the two of you are trying to accomplish, or not so much.
The lack of bipartisanship is definitely and let's not fool ourselves. I mean, partisanship has always been around, but it's heightened. It's at a different level today than it's been, at least in generations. And it's difficult for the system to really digest complex issues. And you don't get more complex in making a brand new constitution. It introduces a lot of risks, a lot of uncertainties, a lot of unknowns. And so sometimes what I fear is that people might look at this and say, oh, well, I don't really like how things are, so maybe we should scrap it and start again, and just imagine that maybe this system would create something much better. And really, my answer to that is, you already see what this system produces today. That's the system that would be charged with a new constitution. There's no reason to believe that it's all of a sudden going to kick it into high gear, and all these issues that are separating people are all of a sudden going to fade away, and there'll be this panacea of a beautiful process. No, it's going to be fraught with special interests and partisanship and gridlock, and it would just be such a mess. And when you look at what we need to improve, look at the way that most things improve, it's iterations of improvement. It's diagnosing a problem and taking steps to solve that problem. You're building or moving in a direction, as opposed to creating uncertainty by scrapping the whole system.
So, Chandra, let me have you play, I don't know, devil's advocate or balance. What are proponents saying will happen with this? What are they saying? This will be great because ...
I think it depends who you talk to. And I think that people who are talking about it, maybe they have a bigger ultimate plan for whatever that purpose is. But frankly, most of the people I've talked to think it's a really bad idea. And so I haven't really talked to anybody that has given me a convincing argument, but I would think that anybody who would think it would, they must have a reason for it. But to circle back to bipartisanship, Brian and I both have members in our organizations that are on both sides of the aisle and lots of independents. And so working together to get this out, to let people know how serious this is at this critical time, is part of what we're doing.
I think it's worth probably pointing out as well that, like, Michigan's largest teachers union and Michigan's largest business association, the Small Business Association of Michigan, the Michigan Education Association, a lot of times we're not on the same page on policies. And it give you an idea of the wide swath of alignment that exists on this, and saying, look, this is a bad idea. Some people might look at it and say, well, I'm just not satisfied with the way the government is, and therefore I want to scrap it and start over again. And that is, it's an understandable sentiment for somebody who's frustrated. I'm frustrated with the current system too, but that's the exact reason why not to vote for the Constitutional Convention, because that's the system that would make a new constitution. The one that you're dissatisfied with would be charged with making a new constitution, and that's a bad recipe.
So what's the biggest challenge for the two of you in getting the word out about what's going on? There's a lot going on in the world right now. There's a lot going on in Michigan right now. Other than the two of you, I don't know how many people think the Constitutional Convention is at the top of their list of things to think about and work on. How do you get the word out about this and that it's important?
Well, we encourage people to talk to their friends, their family, their circle. Everybody has a sphere of influence, just to let them know, hey, there's a question coming up on the ballot. And it's this question of, do you want to scrap the Constitution, start over with the brand new one? And this is a pretty bad idea, because this system today is struggling to do very rudimentary things. So we don't want to charge them with writing a new Constitution. It's a pretty simple, straightforward message. It's one where they know at heart that it will be absolutely dominated by national special interests. It's a big mess. I think we really just need people to talk about it, to share some insight that it is coming up. We'll definitely be aggressive in letting our membership know, 33,000 members of the Small Business Association, that this is on the ballot. You will be voting on this, and then ask them to not only reach out to their sphere of influence, but let their employees know too that this is something coming up, and we don't want an environment of uncertainty. We want to know what the playing field is going to be like so that we can invest and expand and grow, build a stronger tomorrow.
But before I come to you, let me ask you just a little bit more about that. You know, businesses like, you know, some predictability, you know, knowing how things are going to work or supposed to work. How's it going right now? Because I think there's a lot of unpredictability in the world, in Michigan, and I'm not pointing any fingers. I mean, it's often the case. But how are you and your organization dealing with those challenges right now?
The rising cost environment and the back and forth nature of policies is already difficult to deal with. It's not that our current environment is perfect. It's just we don't want it to get in any more topsy-turvy. This is really a critical and challenging environment. And the world has always changed, and it seems like change is accelerating. Some of that you can't control for. This one we can. This we can just vote no and say, there's a lot of uncertainty out there in the world, but one of those pieces of uncertainty doesn't need to be what's in the Constitution.
Chandra, what are teachers, what are educators telling you about this measure?
Right now, honestly, not a lot. They're trying to get their students to the last day of school. So we're kind of counting down to the end of the year, and parents are excited and their kids are excited for summer vacation. However, we're working to educate our members, and when the time gets closer, they'll be ready to engage. And the same strategy too, of just raising awareness, but unpacking what does it look like and how could it affect their life. I think, you know, voting no on the Constitution is one thing, but what happens if you don't? And so we're going to work on that a little bit more, but right now we just need to support our educators to help our students get off to a safe start for summer.
All right, in the last minute for the both of you, what are you committed to doing to make sure this thing doesn't pass?
Well, we'll be spreading the word throughout our membership, but also in communities, just to let them know if you support small businesses, and most people do, they want to support, they want to be supportive of small businesses. One of the ways to do that is to vote no on Proposal 1. Give those entrepreneurs that are taking so many chances, give them a predictable environment to grow and invest in.
Right.
We're going to work with other education associations, principals, superintendents, get them comfortable and help educating the community, and so that way we're broadening the net. So we're going to do a lot of the same things, membership, but I also think engaging with other institutions is going to be a great avenue for us to be successful.
All right, thank you both for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you very much.